Friday night football. Port Adelaide versus Richmond at the Adelaide Oval.
Rosie's kicked one. He's kicked a couple in a prelim.
40,000 people screaming at the top of their lungs.
51 metres out. Good, strong, straight kick. They're in front. They love this big fella.
It sounds pretty good, doesn't it? But this game is more than just a round 4 clash. This has so much riding on it.
Lynch, big fly coming from the back from Revo. Martin's in a great spot. Does he get enough on it? He loves it. Of course he does.
From the heartbreak that us Port fans felt last year in the preliminary final to now, both teams 2-1, coming off of disappointing losses. There's a lot to prove. This is a game more than premiership points. This is a game for the true believers. This is a game for the AFL fans. On Friday night footy, a spectacle is going to be witnessed.
Listen to the roar!
This is Friday night football. This is Port Adelaide versus Richmond. What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're going to be previewing Port Adelaide's round 4 clash against the Richmond Tigers this Friday night at the Adelaide Oval, and what's going to be an absolute beauty of a game. I'm very much looking forward to it, as you can tell with my voice, because I am so excited for this one. We've got a lot to prove after a pretty disappointing performance after West Coast last week, and Richmond with a point to prove as well after getting their pants pulled out a little bit by the Sydney Swans. So a lot to prove for these two sides, and it's going to be a very fiery clash. So let's get straight into it and preview round 4. There is so much talking points to come out of this one. I think it's going to be an absolute ripper if I haven't mentioned that already. But let me know in the comments below what you're thinking about this one. What's going to happen? Who's going to win? Who's going to stand out for each team? I know there's quite a few Richmond supporters that do watch the pair. So, I'd love to hear your feedback. I want to know what you're thinking for your team this week. We'll start off with Richmond. There is a lot of key outs for them. Prestia, McIntosh, I'm pretty sure Cochin is out as well. Now, the teams haven't been announced as I've been recording this one, but there's a lot that they are missing throughout this week, and there's going to be, well, a big task for them, I think, coming over after a disappointing loss. You know, they're premiership favourites. You'd expect them to be performing against teams like a very improved Sydney, but they unfortunately fell a bit short, and this week they come in, well, they're underdogs, and I think they thrive on that a lot more than what a Port Adelaide side would, who are coming in as pretty decent favourites after a disappointing loss against West Coast. Never really showed up until after half-time, and you know, we've been in this situation before, coming into a game 2-1 against the Richmond side. This was back in 2019. We were 2-1. Started the season off really well, and we were coming in against a really, really undermanned Richmond side, and we ended up losing by 7 points. We got way ahead of ourselves, and I'm very much afraid that this could be the case again. I think we're a different side. I think we're a mature side this time, and I definitely feel like we'll be making up for last week's performance. But Richmond do bring a lot to the table. Their key forwards do worry me, and Jack Riewoldt and Tom Lynch. And they have a great brigade at their feet as well. And then you've got, obviously, the main man, Dustin Martin, who you can play anywhere, and he's dominated us every single time that we've played. Key is, after the prelim final debacle of not playing anyone really on Dusty for the whole night, this is the week that you got to do it. Round 4 is so crucial. It's only round 4, a lot of people will say, but it sets up your season to go into round 5, 3-1. You've got a couple of wins on your belt. You're ticking over nicely. And if you go into the round 5 clash, you know, 2-2, you've got a lot of ground to make up, and you don't want to be dropping games early on in the season, especially when you're a premiership contender like Port Adelaide, like Richmond. So there's a lot riding on this one, and I'm so glad it's Friday night footy because we're in front of the national audience. Channel 7 will be broadcasting it, and, you know, we're on the big stage. Port Adelaide's on the big stage against the heavyweights. There is nothing more you want in a game. You're playing your premiership winners from 2020. You're playing at your home ground with your people around you, supporting you. It's going to be a big crowd. I've seen a lot of people getting tickets and they're all roused up, ready to go. This is a massive game. And if your team is going to stand up in a moment, it's got to be this one. And what a perfect way to bounce back from such a disappointing loss to West Coast we had last week. Come out, bounce back, and prove that we are genuine contenders. I know Richmond are undermanned, and I've mentioned that. That's definitely a reasonable factor to take in. But at the end of the day, it's Richmond. They have depth. They have skill wherever you look. They're still damaging enough, and they're still going to come out with a pretty motivated side to prove a point and show that they are champions for a reason. So if there's ever a time to do it, it's this time. And I think what's going to be most important for Port Adelaide is the start. Every time we've played Richmond and we've got a decent start, we've won the game. You look at last year in round 11, I think it was. We played at the Adelaide Oval, we kicked 4-0, and we ended up winning the game by 3 goals, and it was one of the best games of the 2020 season. You know, round 4, 2019, we didn't get a great start. Then you look at, that same year at the MCG, we didn't get a great start at all. But it's the games we have played that have gotten us a decent start. The prelim, we didn't get a good start at all. But we ended up leading at quarter time, but it was just one of those games that Richmond fought out in the end. But it's up to us to get a good start. You look at North Melbourne, round 1. We didn't get a decent start, put ourselves under pressure. Thankfully, we were able to kick 8-1 in the second quarter and put the game to bed. Round 2 against Essendon, we got a great start. We kicked 6-1, and we basically sealed the deal by quarter time. Round 3, you look at West Coast. We were 4 or 5 goals down halfway through the first quarter. That's not what you want. And when you're a contender like Port Adelaide should be, and should be labelled, that's the main thing that I'm looking at this week is to start that first centre bounce. And I don't want to see this Drew, Boak, and let's throw in somebody else, an Ollie Wines mix. I want to see the main culprits in there. I want to see your Lycett, I want to see Boak, I want to see Ollie Wines, and I want to see, maybe a Robbie Gray. Start out strong. Get it inside 50. Maybe a Zach Butters throw in there to crush the packs. Try something different. The main three of Boak, Wines, and Drew have been the same since we started. And I don't like that mix. I really don't. And I think it needs to be changed a bit. And I really feel that if you throw in Robbie Gray, Ollie Wines, or even a Zach Butters with Boak in there, you're going to have a much more competitive outfit from the start. And, if Boak gets the first centre clearance, he's going to be hitting up Charlie Dixon. He's going to be hitting up your Georgiades, or it's going to be crumbed by Rosie. It's that mix in the middle from the start to finish. I'm happy for Drew to go in there and, play his part for the rest of the game, but it's that first centre bounce I want to see. The other question for Port Adelaide is, who do we go for in selection? Marshall, Georgiades, Laddams, Dixon. Those 4 tools. Then you throw in Lycett. I really don't mind the idea of dropping Laddams. I know Kane Corns brought that up. I don't mind that. I think having Lycett rest forward and maybe throw in a Todd Marshall or Charlie Dixon, or even a Leary go into the ruck for a bit. That's got to be something to look at. And I think Laddams, although he can be a good forward option, feel like last week it just showed that he does lack a lot of around the ground presence when not given enough opportunities. And he definitely seems more of a one-dimensional ruckman than he does, two-dimensional. He can throw him down forward or, float around back or something like that. But I think you got to surround Dixon with the right people. Georgiades looks very, very good, but I didn't mind Todd Marshall's game last week at all. He did present well. He needs to be a little bit harder at the contest. Definitely a bit softer when he's in the air. I don't particularly think he's 100% body fit either. I think that back issue's really going to cause him some troubles, and I reckon it's worrying him a bit. He's not 100% going at the contest. And when you're in a position like Todd Marshall, I think 100% at the contest needs to be a number one priority. So that's something that I'd be looking at for Ken and the boys to really consider. I don't mind going smaller against Richmond. Their defensive unit's very, very good. Bolter's going to take Dixon. And you feel like Grimes will probably take Georgiades or Marshall. And then, you've got to mix it up down there. Robbie Gray. You're going to have Connor Rosie mixing through there. Orazio Fantasia. I think it's going to be a smalls kind of night. I can see Big Charlie chipping in with his 2 and 3 if he gets good delivery. But I think the likes of Robbie Gray, Orazio Fantasia, Butters, Rosie, these blokes are going to get on the scoreboard a lot more on Friday night because I think it'll be that type of contested game inside both defensive ends. And you'll see the likes of even Graham and Martin kicking goals. I think Tom Lynch, he's very good on the ground. Jack Riewoldt. So, yeah, it's going to be a strange mix Friday night. I don't know exactly how the game will pan out. If it's anything like the last two, it's going to be fast, ferocious, and I think a lot of players are going to get on the scoreboard because these two teams are very exciting when they're at that 100% peak. So keep an eye out for that because this is going to be massive. So you go into selection and the tips for this week. I am thinking we'll go with the. I don't know what we're going to do with selection. I'm quite interested to see. I haven't exactly looked to see who's been performing in the Magpies team, and we didn't have a great performance last week against the Redlegs. So it's a lot to consider for Kenny and the boys. I know with Richmond missing quite a few players now. Yeah, it's going to be very much a big question mark for them. I'm not writing them off at all. If there's one team that has injuries and is still coming into this game, it's Richmond. I'm very much, they're capable. They're very much capable of doing a number on us Friday night. So I'm eager, I'm keen, but I am tipping Port. I think we'll actually do a number on Richmond. 4 or 5 goal victory. I think will be, hopefully, fingers crossed, outclassy. Well, there you have it, Port fans. That is my preview for round 4 against the Richmond Tigers. Friday night footy at the Adelaide Oval. Make sure you get there, support the boys. It's a massive game, and there's a lot of eagerness and a lot of talking points out of this one. So I'm very much keen to see how it all pans out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content coming your way. Check out my new podcast, A Less Is More, for other topics and discussions around the world at the moment as well. So make sure you check that out. My name is Anthony, and as always, calm the pair.